This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Peach Time Out in the heart of Times Square. You're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode number 156. We're broadcasting live from Beach Time Out on Fort Myers Beach. And, of course, we're broadcasting on the Facebook and the YouTube, and we want you to download our app, the Beach Talk Radio News app, so that you can get news notifications when we have breaking news and other things that Kim likes to send you about her recipes and things like that. So you go to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, and you can download the Beach Talk Radio News app, and then you'll set push notifications live. We'd like to really thank our sponsors, as we always do at the beginning of the show, and there are so many great sponsors. By the way, everybody, this would have been Shrimp Festival weekend, and that's why Shelby is here. And she's going to tell us all about what's going on here and show us some collector's items, T-shirts that you can still buy here in Times Square. But our sponsors, of course, Island Oils, Fort Myers Tiki Tours, Nervous Nellies, and we have a lot to say about Nervous Nellies this weekend, everybody. Mangaritas, State Insurance USA, Sun Palace Vacations, La Ola Restaurant, Tuckaway Cafe, Blue Ribbon Events, Sanibel Carts, Beach Pottery, and our home base sponsor, Peach Time Out, where we've been broadcasting live since August of 2019, going on 3 years. And I'd like to introduce you with a big round of applause from our artificial audience to my sidekick, who has a great story to tell later on in the show. You're going to want to stay tuned to find out why she's got a bloody face and a bloody arm.
2018.
That's what I said.
You said 19.
Oh, okay. All right. So Shelby is here from the Lions Club. And Shelby, first off, tell us about the history of your family and the Lions Club. It was your grandfather.
Well, are you going to let her tell it? Go ahead, Shelby.
So I'm a third generation Lion. My grandfather, Pete McCagg, was a Lion for many, many years, a resident on Fort Myers Beach. And my mom, Fran McCagg, followed in his footsteps. And then somehow that bone trickled down to me, and I've kind of taken the lead.
Awesome. So the first Shrimp Festival was 1959, right?
Right.
So what was it like back then?
It was not on Fort Myers
How would she
Beach,
know?
and it wasn't a shrimp festival. They actually sold chicken on the barbecue that they made themselves. And after a year or two, my grandpa said, what are we doing? We're selling chicken at a shrimp festival, because it was all for down by Main Street. And so he said, let's sell shrimp. And they started selling shrimp, and then every year it gradually builded. They had a parade, and before it was illegal to have tortoise races, they would have gopher tortoise races, and they would trade with the Seminole Indians for 25 cents, I think, for a tortoise. No tortoises were harmed.
Nope. And you're not doing that anymore.
And we don't do that anymore.
So this is the Lions. This is one of the biggest fundraisers for the Lions Club.
For our Beach Lions Club, this has traditionally been our largest fundraiser. We typically put all of our eggs into this one basket, and then we use the money throughout the year to benefit the community, and we disperse it to different entities in need. This past year and the year before, we've had to get creative and come up with new ways, because we weren't able to have a shrimp festival. So we're starting to get our hands dirty and figure out what it's like to actually do some regular activities instead of all over the one weekend. But it's usually just our tiny little club that puts on the giant event, and then we don't talk to anyone for a week or two, and then we give money away.
And so what are some of the things that you give money to? Like, what are some of the projects you're involved in, or the organizations that you support?
There's a couple like state and international foundations that we benefit, and that's just a tradition for us, like the Florida Lion's Eye Institute and guide dogs for for those in need with vision issues. But locally, we give most of the money, and we do the student scholarships every year to area students looking to go to college or any other type of post-education. We benefit the food pantries. We have 5 pillars of service, so we always try and fill those. We have feeding the hungry, vision, diabetes, childhood cancer, and saving the environment. So we take the money we earn and we kind of spread it out between those.
So the first cancellation last year was crazy because it was so close. I mean, it made sense because it was so close. Nobody knew what was going on, but you already had the T-shirts ordered for 2.
Oh yeah.
And so you have T-shirts to sell today.
We have T-shirts, and it's for a $5 donation. You get a T-shirt. You also get a raffle ticket into a drawing for a handmade boat my grandfather made.
Wow.
Wow. A model ship. It's a tugboat. It's really cool. We figured it's what he would have wanted. He just passed in December. So anything we can do extra to raise some more money. And
it's a model.
It's a big wooden model.
So it's not like in a glass bottle like that kind of thing.
No.
Okay.
It's big. It's about 3 feet long.
So how many T-shirts do you have still from 2020?
We've got a mixture of 19 and 20, more 20 than 19. I'd say we have 200 shirts.
Okay. So $5 is a little too low. Don't you think it should be 10?
We'll take any donation in any amount. But no, we're tired of looking at these shirts.
I gotcha.
And we want to see them on the community around.
I should have worn mine today.
Collector's item right there.
Oh, this one's too big.
Wow.
But I'll get you one. Absolutely.
That
Very
is
colorful. Hold it up, dear.
They're special edition because it's from the year the first time the Shrimp Festival didn't happen in 62 years. So
62 years. Wow.
Lion Darby last year had me make her a custom one, and I put a big canceled across the logo.
Yeah, you got to do something like that, like a COVID something or other. So
what did you do with the shrimp that you had last year?
We were able to get all the shrimp sold. So we were still
Very
able,
nice.
It didn't go to waste, I promise.
Yeah. So the now you made me lose my train of thought, dear.
I wish we could have gotten some. I mean, I can't say how. I mean, everybody who's ever been there knows, but for those who have never come down and that deal with the shrimp, it's amazing.
Yeah.
These are not little shrimp.
No,
These
they're
are
big Florida Gulf pinks. And I think it's probably the only place on the beach. Not many places, if any, sell actual Gulf pink shrimp. So it's special.
Do you ever announce how much money you raise? What's the average? What's the average?
60,000, 50 to 60,000.
So that's
after
100.
our expenses are taken out.
So that's $100,000 you were not able to collect from the last 2 years because of the cancellation.
Oh yeah.
So folks, please come down to Times Square today and pick up whatever. You selling anything else besides shirts, or is it mostly shirts?
It's all shirts and
the raffle
just
ticket.
taking. So we have all forms of. We can accept all forms of payment: cash, card, PayPal, however you want to go. And I'll give you our PayPal link.
Okay.
To it for those that can't come down. We understand, but any support is so appreciated because we don't want to run on fumes. We're okay right now, but it's going to get to the point that we're not going to be able to do the things we typically are able to.
And it was weird this year too, because it looked like it was going to happen, and you were moving forward like it was going to happen, and it was so many unknown things, but you were planning on being socially distanced in the parking lot, and it just seemed like
we had everything in place to be socially distanced and abide by everyone's wishes. But when it came down to it, before I proceeded, we were even going to have beer this year, which we will have next year, which was a huge accomplishment for me. But it just came down to a point where it just was not even going to get, recognized. The permit was not even going to be looked at. Right. So
are the dates set for next year already?
It's always the second weekend in March.
Awesome. Second weekend in March.
And it will be bigger and better than ever, so long as it happens.
Well, for sure. Come on. Now, people, if people want to get a booth and things like that, you can go on the website.
I would love for local vendors to get in the mix of our of our vendor booths, we ask that it's all handmade or locally sourced items, nothing that they could get anywhere else. But we really need, and I want to benefit the local businesses. So if you are interested, there's information on our Shrimp Festival website. It's FortMyersBeachShrimpFestival.com. And you can get everything you need to know. I'm not sure if we have the applications up for next year. After this weekend, we probably will.
Sure.
We do have scholarships coming up in a month or two that students can look at. So if you're in need for any assistance, stay tuned to our club website for that scholarship application. It's all online. It's really easy. And we're looking forward to giving some money out.
And you'll be here in Times Square.
We'll be here all day today, all day tomorrow, probably until about 4 each day, or
until they're sold out.
Yeah. Well, we'll still be here collecting donations even if we don't have shirts.
Right.
All right. And other ways to donate, go on the website.
Go on our website, fmblions.com or FortMyersBeachShrimpFestival.com, and there's big donate buttons on both. You can find it easily.
Any other events that you have coming up that you're...
Just the scholarships is next. And then we kind of go into a changing of the guards in July. And
what does that mean?
When our board, a new president will come on, and
okay,
I'll go to something else.
Oh, okay. So tell us about the bench.
You know more about the bench than I do. I had been in communication with the mayor and asked that we could possibly get a bench put down here in Lynn Hall Park or Times Square for my grandfather, Pete McHagg, as a memorial, some kind of memorial, since he spent so many years down here and ran the expo. Did it get approved?
I think I hadn't heard it since the last time I spoke to you about it. That I think the last thing I heard was that if you needed some money to put it together, that it sounded like the town would willing, because it didn't sound like it was that much.
But that would be extra special. I know he would.
I can't imagine that not getting.
No, and it didn't sound like it was going to be that much money, and that would be great. I mean, talk about the history of the Shrimp Festival. It's the biggest event on the island.
And we'll put a big plaque on there. So every year we try and have a legacy project that some way we leave our impact for other people to see and remember us by. So that would check that box for us this year and mean a lot to me, the club, and my family for sure.
Well, and I would like to encourage people to come on down and support the Lions Club. And, I was talking to one of the other business owners who said, it was so great because after the Shrimp Fest, just hordes of people would come down. And like the sunglass, Karen was like, we used to just benefit so much from that. So I would encourage people to come on down as you would and celebrate, get your T-shirt, visit the other places on the beach.
We're having Shrimp Festival without the shrimp, but
That's
come
right,
on down
right.
and help us out. The high's 82 today, and it's sunny. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Great day. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about Lions or what's going on over there? Who's over there with you?
I've got Lion Bernard, our Irish lion, and it happens to be his birthday today.
Oh, well,
so you can come say happy
birthday
birthday to him. And my sister-in-law and her husband, who are both lions, and longtime lion Diane.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks
Anything you need, let us know.
So
and
much.
Come on down, folks, and buy a T-shirt for the festival that isn't here, but we'll be back next year.
Yes,
We're still celebrating.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it so much. Have a great day and good luck out there. Collector's item T-shirts out there in Times Square, over by where the clock is, over by where the Christmas tree is. So get on. You can't miss it. It's a big giant tent. So go on down. They're only $5. So I suggest that you pay $10. Take number 3 with you. That you pay $10 for the shirt and just say that you want to donate the rest of the money. So we'll see you, Shelby. Thanks a lot, and go over and see Shelby. And before we bring Tara on, the wife is going to try and figure out how to get the microphone out there so she can read our first ad. Okay, I have to be organized. You show up 5 minutes before the show starts.
I was here 30 minutes before, and you have to get things out of the way.
All right, Tara, give us 2 minutes. We're going to see if she can pull this off here. She's going to try and read an ad, and I'm going to play a little music for you. Go ahead, dear. You're looking great out there after your spill this morning.
I know.
Go
Fort
ahead,
Myers Tiki Tours. You know them. I speak about them every week. They're located behind Parrot Key Caribbean Grill over by Salty Sam's Marina. You can reach them at 239-887-0042 and make your reservation for up to 6 people to go out on a tiki boat. It's a small little tiki boat with 6 seats.
Look into the camera, please.
It's got 6 seats. You're going to be floating down the bay with everybody taking your picture like you're a rock star that you are. It's an amazing outing for any kind of event, be it a birthday party, Father's Day, which is what we did, Mother's Day, the Shrimp Festival Day. You can come out for anything. So it's $119. We got to ask them. That might be our
dear.
special.
Come on. Let's go.
And you can go with the cooler and the ice, and they bring everything but the food and the drink. So give them a call at 239-887-0042. And you're messing me up.
Very nice. Thank you to Fort Myers Tiki Tours, one of our longest sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. And now joining us from, I don't even know where she's from, but I know she's from probably her house there. She's joining us. Tara Taggart is from the Florida League of Cities. Tara, can you hear us okay? All right, I'm going to switch our speaker here so we can hear you. Go ahead, dear.
You hurry me up with
I know.
You're not even ready.
Tara, this is
For this woman,
we go
we
through this all the time. This amateur I have to work with here. We can hear you now. Oops, Tara, tell us exactly where you are and what you do with the League of Cities. Tara, we're having some issues with your microphone, so I don't know if your microphone is on, but if you could check your microphone, that'd be great. Our folks are saying out there that they can't hear you either, so she's gonna tell us a little bit about the. Go ahead and grab the ad for.
Is that better?
We'll see if we can. There we are. So go ahead, back from the beginning. We can hear you now. Tell us a little bit about where you are and what you do with the League of Cities. Go ahead.
Yeah, they will not be hiring me for the IT department anytime soon. So what we do, I am part of the lobbying team with the Florida League of Cities, and we represent the 411 cities in Florida. So since we are a home rule state, which basically means our communities get to make whatever choices they want, with input from the community and their councils and all of that. But so long as the state legislature says they can't. So every session we see probably, hundreds of preemption bills, which are taking away authority from local communities to make decisions. So that's what we fight against all the time. It's a crazy 60 days and we just kind of battle it out and then we go back to, living normal lives after that. But so that's about it. I don't know if you heard the beginning, but I am in Tallahassee, Florida right now, but I'm kind of from y'all's neck of the woods down in Sarasota.
Okay, so the big thing that happened this week in Tallahassee that we've been following is because of so much of the vacation rental business down here on Fort Myers Beach is the bill that was in the Senate that appears to take some of the control away from the local government here in Fort Myers and Sanibel, wherever there are vacation rentals, and the state wants more control. Can you explain where this all started, why the state wanted to take more control away from the local governments when it came to vacation rentals?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And I think to really kind of understand the whole picture and why this has become such the fight that it has been is you got to go back to 10 years ago. So it was 2011. You got to think this was after the market crash, after, hedge funds came into Florida and just bought these properties up for pennies on the dollar. And that was how they could make money on them, was to do them as a short-term rental. But you also heard the stories of, the folks who were, risking of, foreclosure or eviction on their home, and they were renting out, spare bedroom or renting out their home on a weekend to, make some extra cash. Those typically are the folks we see problems with, but it's the big investor-owned companies that, have no stake in your community. They might not have ever been there, and they hire someone to manage it, but it really just doesn't work out in theory, and it especially doesn't work out for the neighbors. So in 2011, they passed a law that said cities, you cannot regulate vacation rentals whatsoever. We couldn't do anything after that time, but they did say, so any city who had, an ordinance on the books, like they might have zoned them. So they said, hey, you can't be in single family residential, but you can go over here. Or they might have had, a minimum night stay of 3 or 7 days or something like that. So really varies by city to city, but, they found common sense solution that works. So if you did it before 2011, you got to keep it. After that, every city was just kind of couldn't do anything about it. So you saw, and we started to get the phone calls that, folks were having issues with the property next door. And, it's really not fair to them when you make what's probably the biggest investment of your life, buying a home or a vacation home in Florida. You don't expect to have a party house next door. So a couple years went by, and I think that became very clear to the state legislature, and they came back in 2014 and gave cities back some authority. So they said, hey, you can regulate them, but you can't zone them, and you cannot regulate duration and frequency. So how many times per year it's rented, and then the number, the nights, consecutive night stays. So we've been operating in that space for quite some time, but for about the last 5 years, there's been a bill filed every single session that would undo that limited authority that cities have now. So we've been fighting them every single year, but we did have a good breakthrough this week. And we were able to get all of what we call the bad stuff pulled out of that bill. So the components of the bill that would take away that limited authority that cities have now, we were able to get pulled out of the bill. We moved it to its third committee in the Senate. So we're sitting pretty good right now. As far as what's still left in that bill, there's, some good pieces. We'll see how it works out if and when it does pass, but it will require, the advertising platforms. So think your Airbnbs, your VRBOs to verify that the property's licensed, because that's been a very big issue in Florida, but only about, I think, a third of what, is out there listed on these platforms are actually licensed with the state. So you have issues, nobody knows where they're coming from or who to find them or who to call. So I'm optimistic that this will improve that situation and then allow our local governments to keep doing what they're doing.
Now, the 2011, when that occurred, the other thing is, even if there are cities that had ordinances in place and they were grandfathered in, is it true that if they now need to make changes, that they're reluctant to make changes, an amendment, because that might then throw it out and they would be back to square one with not being able to regulate things?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And that's another issue we've seen. So, it's been a long time and technology has changed in the space tremendously. Folks are traveling this way more often, which, is a good thing. It brings tourism to our communities and it's an economic driver. But some cities at the time maybe had a minimum stay that they don't feel is necessary anymore. Maybe they want to decrease it, or maybe they just want to tweak their ordinance a little bit to modernize what's on the books. But a lot of city attorneys have said that if you amend your ordinance, it's no longer that grandfathered ordinance, so you would lose it. But also in the bills that are filed now in Tallahassee, they have a provision that clarifies that if you are a grandfathered city, you get to stay grandfathered, but you can amend your ordinance only if it's less restrictive. So it's still a pretty good win. Unfortunately, I can't make it, if the city needs more than they have now, because it, varies so greatly. There's probably about 70 to 80 cities that fall in that grandfather category, but I think that's a big win for them as well.
So Tara, is the main driver of this to make sure that everybody that rents is licensed and insured, and it's not just every Tom, Dick, and Harry up and down every single street that just rents out their house? And does that give the local governments a greater chance to close them down if they're not licensed, or is that what the whole the That's how it all got started, that they want everybody to be licensed and insured.
Somewhat. So it's interesting because there's a lot of folks that care about this issue, and everyone cares about it for a little bit different of a reason. You see the platforms who, obviously want to have as many listings as possible, and they want it as easy as possible for folks to list their property because that's what they're there for. You also see the hotels who recognize that this was not a fair playing field because so many of these, homes are not licensed and they're not paying taxes like hotels do. They pay, sales tax, local TDT taxes, all of those things. So it, again, sets the hotels at a disadvantage because it's cutting into their profits. And then you have, the cities and the individuals that, fight for governments to be allowed to, license properties if they're not, or inspect them if they're not, because this really hasn't been done on the state level. So that's why cities have stepped into the space. But mainly, why it's been so important for cities is so they have a, recourse when they do have an issue with a certain home. So they can either, strip them of their local license, or they can, put some hours of operation, or not hours of operation, but maybe parking ordinances if that's becoming a problem, or occupancy is a big one. You have kids coming down for spring break on, for a week, and you might have 25 frat boys. Well, that's not safe, and it's obviously disruptive from the neighborhood. So that's kind of where cities have wanted to retain this authority. But the bills in Tallahassee would have continually tried to take that away up until this week.
And what does this do to communities that where there's no zoning? Then, people see a market. People who have money may not even live in the state or in the country, come in buying up properties and just, turning them over into short-term vacation rental homes, and the community starts to become less of a community of long-term residents and just a row of vacation places.
Right. And you do see that happening. And, that's one thing that I think is still unfortunate of, where we're at with this legislatively now is, at its core, this is a zoning issue. If my family should not have to live next door to a vacation rental. Of course, they're not all bad actors. Some you would probably never know that they were there. But it's a safety concern. Absolutely. If your kids are out playing in the front yard and you don't know who's next door, that becomes a problem. Unfortunately, we still do not have zoning authority. I think the political reality of it right now is, we've been on the defense for about 5 years. At least anytime soon, I think getting zoning authority back for these properties would be a significant uphill battle. But for right now, I think it was a win to at least be able to, keep what we have in place. So what we always say for communities that are having issues is get your stakeholders together, get your realtors, get your HOAs, get your, residents, pretty much anybody who's out in the community and cares about this, and try to find solutions that, can at least mitigate some of those problems, even if you can't zone.
So Tara, the bill 522, if anyone's interested in the Senate, seems like the one that's moving along. There's another one in the House too. I mean, it seems like they're all over the place, but so that came out of the Appropriations Committee yesterday, I believe, and that's got to go to the Rules Committee before the full Senate votes on it. So the Rules Committee meets next week. I think the agenda comes out on Monday, and then who knows when the full Senate, because the legislature only meets for a couple of months in Florida, right?
It's now.
Right, they're meeting now, but I don't know when the full Florida Senate will vote on that. And then so if the Senate approves it, does they have to go to the House, and then the House has to approve that, or they reconcile it, and then the governor has to? What's the governor's stance on this?
So he, last year he was a friend to cities on this issue. He was not in favor of, at least behind the scenes, was not a favor of taking this authority away from local governments. I think he's consistently been pretty reasonable about, the roles that different levels of government play. I think there was one issue that it just is kind of anecdotal at this point, but it was the plastic straw bill. The state legislature saw a few cities that were banning plastic straws in their, in their beach communities, and I think it was mostly beach communities. But at any rate, they passed this bill off the floor, sent it over to the governor, and he vetoed it. And he said, that's not the role of the state legislature. That is a decision for folks to make in their local communities. So I find the governor to be, pretty reasonable when it comes to home rule issues. But where we stand now for how these bills will kind of play out. So we passed the Senate Appropriations Committee with this good amendment for local governments. It will have to go to the Senate Rules Committee, but that committee is chaired by Senator Passidomo, who will not be Senate President next year, but she will be the following 2 years. And she played a very influential role in making this bill better. So she's actually from the Naples area. If anyone's watching and knows her, give her a big thank you and just say, we appreciate her helping local communities. And there are a few others, Senator Mayfield from the Brevard area, Senator Hooper from Tampa, but they all kind of, used their power in the Senate and said, we're not going to pass this the way it is now. It's a problem. I'm hearing from my residents back home, and it's not going to fly, and it's basically not going to get through her committee, which is that third stop. So that was a big win. So where it is now in the House bill, so House Bill 219 is the House companion. It will go to the Ways and Means Committee next. They do not meet this coming week. So, at the earliest, it'll be the following week. But, in a perfect world, the House will take the amendment that went on the Senate bill so they continue to match up. If they move through, their third committee stop, and then they'll each have to go, off the House floor and off the Senate floor. So basically how it is, it comes down to that end of session kind of bounce back and forth game. And if the bills don't match, you have the Senate throwing their bill over to the House, and they almost play a who's going to concede first and take the other one's bill. But it's always better if they match before they get there, because then it just doesn't become a game of chicken. It's basically a game of whose name goes on this.
So if the state were to take this part over, the regulation part, does the League of Cities feel that they're going to be able to do that in terms of the enormous amount of work that's going to take to regulate all of these? I mean, when you look at a local municipality dealing with what they have locally, that's one thing. But one agency taking care of the entire state of Florida, what is your feelings on that?
Before you answer that, another amendment, I think it was an amendment yesterday or the other day, was they added they added salaries, I think, for 2 enforcement agents for. It seemed like the entire state of Florida, or you're going to have 2 additional agents that are going to somehow enforce all these new rules they put in place. But go ahead, and I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. That's an excellent question. So they did tack on a very small appropriation to go to the Department of Business, and we call it DBPR, Business and Professional Regulation. It's a mouthful. But the way it is now on the state level is, they don't go out and do any pre-licensure inspections of vacation rentals. So if someone turns, a master closet into a bedroom, no one's going to know until someone complains. So it's more of a reactionary method that they'll go in and inspect, which is why it's so important for, cities and counties to still have the ability to license and inspect, because the state's just not doing it. They haven't met their inspection benchmarks on hotels since 2014. So it'll be an uphill battle for them. Absolutely. They gave them a couple more people, but as far as the inspection goes, I think that's going to fall to the local governments. I think many have the ability to do it, but for the folks that maybe don't have that, those resources in their budget, it might be an issue for them. But then on the other side of the licensing component, so the way it's kind of written in the bill, it makes the platforms. So, we think inherently it's Airbnb and VRBO, but there's probably 200 platforms. You see Facebook stepping into this place. I could see down the road maybe Zillow stepping into this space. There's just so many different websites that are doing this. So for DBPR to capture the universe of what's out there and then make sure they're licensed and insured in collecting taxes, I think will be challenging for them. It's better than what we have now, which really isn't much of anything because there's so much unlicensed activity. But then also they're going to probably have to build out, a big website where, people can go on and check if they're licensed, and because there's components of the bill that says they have to, put what's out there in an easily accessible format, whatever that is. But, building a website's expensive, and having it, monitored and tracked from the staff at the state level will be I guess time will tell on this one.
So, Tara, one final question on this topic, and then I want to ask you about the home business bill that's working through the legislature also. What can vacation rental owners on Fort Myers Beach do to stay involved in this? How do they get involved?
I think the most accessible, government to the people that are in a community is stay in touch with your city council. They are listening to you. They, take input from all sides of their community, but then they're also communicating with their state legislators. And I would encourage them to, do that as well. I think it's important. Your members of the House and Senate, they love to hear from constituents. Trust me, they love to hear from y'all more than they love to hear from lobbyists because, we're always working on something, but, just stay and communicate, right. Invite them to, if you have a neighborhood group or if you have, whatever kind of, club you might have down in South Florida, just invite them to it. They might come and they might, give you an update, post Tallahassee and tell you what was happening at the state level. They really enjoy doing it. And I think it keeps those lines of communication open.
Let's real quick talk about something else people should keep an eye on, and that is the home business bill. I don't know what the bill number is, but essentially what it sounds like is if somebody wanted to be a mechanic and live next door to you and work on cars at their house, they could do that. What's this all about? Let
me pull those bill numbers for you so you're able to track them. Sorry, I don't have those committed to memory. That's David Cruz who runs that. So it's House Bill 403, and then it's Senate Bill 266. So where we are with that, and it's a lot of the same arguments, right? It's the ability for local governments to protect residential neighborhoods. I think at its core, it's zoning. So how these bills started was they were filed and they were a total preemption on home-based businesses. So any regulation that a city had on the books for home businesses, they would be wiped out and we could do nothing about it. So, if you had a boat mechanic next door, or if you had someone that was, used so far as the example of a slaughterhouse, but that's the reality of it. It would have given local governments no authority. So, people could do anything they wanted. It could be anything from an accountant who would, probably cause no disruption in the neighborhood to, someone operating a CrossFit gym in their garage, pumping the music and, having 20 people come out early in the morning. So that's just not realistic. And what a lot of our cities, are doing, most of them aren't prohibiting this. Like, I don't think, I can't think of it on the top of my head, any single city that does prohibit this, but, they said maybe hours of operation. So you can't, have anybody there really, really early or really late. Or they would say, parking. You can't have tons of traffic or semi-trucks blocking other neighbors' driveways, getting deliveries, things like that. Or you need a point of contact in case, or so we know that your business is operating in these zones. Some of them zone it, we do have that authority, but the the Senate bill was significantly improved as well. And it kind of played out in the same way. We had leadership in the Senate be, sympathetic to the local government issues. The neighbors need recourse if things go wrong with these properties. And it's not to say that a home business is bad or a vacation rental is bad, but your neighbors need recourse if something goes wrong. So we were able to get many, many exemptions put on that Senate bill so that we can still do things like parking, signage, really the main disruptors that come from home businesses. The House bill, we're still in opposition to. That one still hasn't matched up quite yet. I think this one will be a little bit more interesting to see because it's clearly been much more of a priority for the House than it has been for the Senate. So the Senate has made this bill better, but the House has not. And the House bill is heading to the floor. So I think it'll come down to that end of session game of chicken, if you will, for who's going to concede.
All right, Tara. Well, we thank you for your time so much for coming on, and hopefully everything will work out the way Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel. Holly Smith has been great in keeping us up to date on everything over on Sanibel too. So we appreciate your time. And
can you give out either your website, not yours, but where people
League
can get
Cities.
more information, whether it is the League of Cities or whether you have links to other places where they can get information for the somewhat uninitiated?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great question. And I love me some Holly. I love all my South Florida. So, hello, if you're all watching out there. Thank you for all you do. You can find us at FloridaLeagueOfCities.com. And if you're interested, we put out a whole host of publications. So, weekly session updates, bill summaries, issue briefs. There should be, a pretty easy to find link to sign up for those, and we'll keep you in the loop.
All right.
Thanks so much, Tara. Have a great weekend.
Awesome. Tara. Thanks for having me.
I said Tara.
I said Tara. Sarah.
No, I said Tara. Thanks, Tara. Bye-bye. Have a good one. All right. Tara Taggart from the Florida League of Cities. Mike Chinopoulos is going to join us, and our special guest who just showed up from Nervous Nellies, Len Lemmer, is going to be here. So stay tuned. This is going to be an exciting segment here. Not that the last two weren't exciting. The excitement is just brewing over here at Peach Timeout, just like the big crowd that we have here. And don't forget to stay until the end, folks, because we have to tell the story of how that happened this morning. And a worst experience than getting COVID-19 is buying a car. The car buying experience is worse than getting COVID-19. And we need to tell you about that. But before that, we need to tell you about Sanibel Carts. And now my trusty sidekick will take over.
All right. Get out of here for a minute and stop getting me all confused. All right. Sanibel Carts. Cruise the islands in style. Sanibel Carts will bring you, after you make your reservation, they will bring you either a 4-person or a 6-person golf cart. It's either gas powered or solar powered, but they will bring it to you. It will be all charged up, all gassed up, ready to go. You can park your car at wherever you're staying, and then you can tootle around the islands in style in one of these amazing, super cute little carts. So visit them at sanibel-carts.com or 239-500-CART and make your reservation. They offer a bunch of different, a couple of days up to a week, and they have a variety of options for you to choose from. But, enjoy that. Have a good time. There's no need to be driving around. Parking is an issue wherever you are. So this will make it real easy, and you can get around and have a good time and show off to all your friends. I also want to talk about Beach Pottery because he's going to be indisposed for a few minutes. Beach Pottery, 17980 San Carlos Boulevard. It's on your way down to the beach. It'll be on your right, just a little bit past the firehouse. Take a look at them out front. It's no indication of what they have out back. It's like a pie-shaped lot, and when you go out back, it is huge. They have over 1,000 pots. As Ed always mentions every week, from Vietnam. They also have someone who does carvings with a saw, a chainsaw. He's amazing. He goes lickety-split, makes a variety of different animals that you can purchase there. But stop by and see them. Pick up your pot to put some plants in, or you can get them custom designed with your family name on it or a favorite saying, whatever you want. They're extremely colorful. They also have furniture there, outdoor furniture. So stop by there and check them out.
Lovely job. So you and I are going to share a microphone. You're going to grab our guests, and I'm going to switch us over. So we have a great segment coming up here, everybody. We have Mike Chinopoulos, who you folks probably remember from a few weeks ago when we talked to him. He's a Fort Myers attorney, and Len Lemmer is going to come on also. And Len is the owner of Nervous Nelly. So Len, we're going to have Len join us for a little bit, and then we'll. Because we want to kind of get an update on how things are going. Len, have a seat right there. My wife's going to sit here. How you doing, Mike? Come on in, dear. We're going to share no, that's your mic, Len. We're going to share. My wife and I will share, so nobody has to worry about any issues like that at all. So, Len, everybody that doesn't know.
I thought I was going to get to sit closer to you. Your wife's
beautiful. Oh, she's going to stand. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll have to talk about why her face is all bloody up like that. Let me make sure Len's in the picture there. All right, Len, give us an idea of your St. Patrick's Day party. What's going on for your St. Patrick's Day party? Nice and close, Len.
Okay, well, typically every year we apply at the town to get a special events permit to have our St. Patrick's Day party in Bayside Park. I had my paperwork ready to go. I contacted someone at the town, and they said, "Don't bother submitting it. It's not going to be approved."
Right.
And I thought, well, okay, I don't want to pick a fight with these people, so I did not submit it. And then we just let it slide for a while, and then my son suggested, "Hey, why don't we just move our music from the park and bring it and put it on our own bandstand at Nervous Nellies?" And I thought, well, obviously that's not as large a celebration as we're typical to, but we were made to cancel our party last year. And I was afraid that if we ended up canceling it 2 years in a row, people would just forget who we were on St. Patrick's Day. So we decided, okay, we're going to have it on our patio. The fewer people that we have this year are going to be able to attend, but at least we'll be able to say we had our St. Patrick's Day party.
So really, it just turned into a regular day of bands.
We have music at Nervous Nellies outside day and night every single day of the week in season. So we have an afternoon band, we have an evening band, we have entertainment of some kind. So all we did was substitute the bands, the Dweebs, the Iconic Band, for our normal performers. And we'll go through the afternoon. The Iconic Band is scheduled from 2 to 5. And the Dweebs, who are somewhat I don't know, what would you call them? They are the rock and roll family band of Fort Myers Beach, are coming down from Wisconsin, and they will perform from 6 to 10 at Nervous Nellies on St. Patrick's Day, as they have, with the exception of last year, for about the last 9 or 10 years.
So do you feel comfortable explaining what happened when the town came to your location last week? I think it was on Monday.
Well, all I can tell you is what my son told me, and that was someone from code enforcement came down. Evidently, they saw our advertising and threatened us with a $5,000 fine if we had our St. Patrick's Day party.
So
how come 5,000? Do you have any?
I have no idea. I have no idea where that amount of money came from. The person involved said, or the code enforcement officer said, call the town manager, which my son did. And he asked him on the phone, well, why are we being singled out? There is here at Times Square a band that comes and plays every Friday night. There are 2 farm markets that are approved. He asked him point blank, what specific social distancing rules did you put in there for them to follow? And of course, there were none. So, it became pretty apparent to us that, we were just being singled out here.
Is there a reason you think you were being singled out?
I guess I really don't know. I would ask others to make that determination. I have no idea why they would single us out.
And just so everybody knows, the social distancing ordinance that they don't enforce on Fort Myers Beach, the fine is $500 per business, not $5,000. So that was just something he pulled out of his ass.
I have no idea where he got any of this stuff from, to be frank. I just don't know. It was obviously an attempt to intimidate us.
Yeah. Any comment yet, Mike?
I've got plenty to say. First of all, I would tell you that I believe just the mere threat of the fine to you is a constitutional violation. They're treating you differently. You have the right under the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 9 of the Florida Constitution to be treated the same as others who are similarly situated. So they can't treat you different than they do any other restaurant or entertainment or anything else. They're having these things without social distancing. They're supporting them. In fact, the town's actively involved in it, right? It's on town property, but now they're going to shut you down as a businessman. We got an equal protection problem. And what I'm doing, Len, as you know, is putting together a group And the idea of this group, though, is not to be hostile, right? It would be easy for us to go attack the city right now saying, well, you threatened this guy $500, you're being a bully. I'm coming after you, $5,000. But all it's going to do is escalate things. I think there's a better way to solve this, but the fact that we now have a constitutional violation gives us some leverage to solve this in a way that doesn't blow up. You don't want people spending $300,000 on attorney's fees, right? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a better way to solve this, but what they've done here is foolish and has given us some leverage to go to the town and work with them and say, look, here, this is clearly unconstitutional. Let's work this out. Let's cooperate.
Well, and that's all we want. We want just equal protection under the law. We want to be treated just like everyone else.
Well, I always try the candy first, and if that doesn't work, I have a really big stick. Mm-hmm. And if anybody's seen me in court, they can tell you that I'm a whole lot different in the courtroom.
So like a mediation thing before a litigation thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it mediation. I would call it, just trying to establish a very positive rapport. I mean, part of the issue here is we've got lots of business people, and they all have different interests, and yet they overlap. And they're always, they're interacting with the board, the council. So if we can put everybody together, find out what the similar interests are, we have collective negotiating power. Now we got some real power to negotiate with them. What I want is to establish a co-business or a co-branding relationship with the town. Look, fighting with this town is not going to get any business people anywhere. All you're going to do is spend money. You're going to make me rich, which I would really enjoy. Mm-hmm. I don't mind the money transferring from your restaurant to my pocket. Right. I suspect, however, you might have a little issue with that.
Well, absolutely.
The money that you earned.
Right, exactly.
So the way to do this is this collective group. And, one of the things that, we got a little problem with is, Ricochet Roger. And that's what, no, seriously. I mean, he ricocheted from the Keys to Miami, from Miami to Marco, from Marco to here. And every single place he left, I've heard rumors that there were fiscal problems. There was money missing or money misapplied. We're running down those rumors to see if they're fact. I think there's some fact. I don't know, Len. I had somebody come to me 2 weeks ago and say, I got fined. The magistrate said I didn't have to pay the fine because I'd submitted a reclamation plan. Reclamation plan got kicked back, and he tells me he was required to go pay Ricochet $29,000 in a cashier's check only. Okay. A money order only, rather.
Yeah, I think you have to. You know better than I do. You have to be real careful here what you're accusing somebody of doing.
Okay. I'm okay.
All right.
And then this happened a second time. All right. Now, this is what this guy alleges. I don't know that this is true, but after 27 years in the Army, I reached out to a few friends that run federal agencies and said, hey, anybody want to take a look at this?
Yeah.
See if it's true or not? So, listen, the last thing anybody wants is me digging in their forensic stuff. Right? That's not a good idea. But if there's something going on, then the city needs to know about it. Right? I think the council members are great people. I think the mayor's a great person. The city manager is actually in charge of everything. Okay. When I was in the Army Reserves, you had a sergeant who ran the armory 30 days a month, but then the commander was a captain and he was responsible for everything. Well, information is power. Knowledge is power. Right? And so if he gave me what I wanted to know as a part-timer. Right. And that was a problem. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what's going on here. Roger runs the city and he gives the mayor and the council the information he wants them to have. Let's start talking about relationships here. I mean, what's his relationship with Heron's firm? Gee, they've been at every spot with him.
I didn't know that until recently that they did work in different municipalities together. I don't know anything.
How much money we spending annually on Heron's fees?
I know there's a set amount that we pay on his fees. And then if we need outside, I say we, I don't live on the beach, but if there's outside counsel that's needed, they have the Florida League of Cities that helps them out with certain things. And then they have outside counsel. Like I think they have outside counsel for Eddie Root's thing.
On the appeal that I did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. On other things.
By the way, we smoked him on the appeal. Just saying.
Yeah. Which appeal was that? Oh, it was
for the Sunset Grill. Right. And they had said, he bought the place in 2014.
Well, I don't want to get off course yet because we can talk about that.
I need to get this.
I want to come back to that. I want to come back to that because I want to make sure that people know your party is still on.
We're on.
Your party's still on Wednesday. Tell everybody.
Wednesday, we start at 11 o'clock and we run till 10 p.m.
Okay, 11 o'clock till 10 at Nervous Nellie's. You have bands.
Beef and cabbage. We got.
On your property. You're not doing anything at Bayside Park. You're not doing you're not breaking any rules. You're not doing anything different than what the Shamrock is doing or the Leaky Tiki is doing or the Lonnie Kai is doing advertising spring break, which spring break is if you're not going to see bodies close together there and you're not going to write tickets
are all going to
for
social distance. I bet they won't even drink on the beach.
No. And they're all going to be wearing masks. So
I don't know if you've ever been to spring break. Some of those women wearing masks might be a good thing. So don't complain too much.
Oh boy. He said that, not me. So Len, the community, at least the community that follows us, that rallied around Nervous Nellie's this past week was simply amazing. I mean, people love Nervous Nellie's, and it was just out of control. The thing that worries me, and I don't think we're anything bigger than 9 listeners, don't get the wrong impression, but the thing that worries me that if somebody didn't see or hear about what happened to you, what would you have done? I mean, It just seems like it just would have been, I'm coming here to threaten you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, obviously, having an outlet such as yours makes it a lot easier for us to get the word out and hopefully send a little bit of accountability down to City Hall.
But, Len, I can't encourage you more to do this. All right. It's easy to get angry, to feel like you're being singled out, and to take aggressive action. Don't take Ricochet's bait. It's always about divide and conquer. He's got to keep the business community and his council at odds with each other. Otherwise, he can't control everything that goes on. All right. Yeah. So don't take the bait. Don't go fight with the city. Do this the cooperative way.
Yeah, I don't want to fight with anybody. Absolutely.
No, we don't want to make war with the city.
No, absolutely not.
Everybody's got to cooperate, and the person that's keeping that all apart is Ricochet.
So it's going on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. You were talking about the corned beef and cabbage. What else are people going to get to
Reuben
be?
Reuben sandwiches, we got all that. All of our Reubens are going to be there. We are buying 1,000 pounds of corned beef.
Nice.
So we're going to have corned beef virtually any way you can slice it. We're going to have it.
You talked about
we've got
drink specials.
We've got drink specials. We're going to be running drink specials all day long. So,
and for people that don't know, Nervous Nellie's is one of the few places on the beach where there's a sign on the front door that says you have to wear a mask. Which just added to the whole thing, to the craziness of it.
Outside, they have lots of outside seating.
But my point was that there are a lot of other places that don't even put the sign up. We walked away
we
back.
Are 100% in compliance with the town ordinance. All of our servers, all of our bus people, all of our cooks, they are masked every moment that they're working.
And I can attest to that. I eat there regularly. And they've said to me, "Excuse me, sir, you need to put on a mask." If I don't have one, they give me a courtesy mask.
Yeah,
that's right.
We have masks at the front door for you. We try to lead people out to our patio by walking them around the park rather than walking them through. Right. And we also have a cleaning system where we are cleaning both restrooms and all flat surfaces every 30 minutes. So we take it pretty seriously.
Yeah. And they didn't give me salt and pepper shakers. They gave me individual packets of salt and individual packets of pepper so that other people's hands wouldn't have been on what I'm touching.
Last thing
Thanks.
I want to put out there before we let you go is that I think part of the situation is that if you all remember, Roger wanted to build a 3-story building that would have been within touching distance of Nervous Nellie's for the mooring field. This is nothing against the mooring field. And it would have put a big, giant 3-story building in between Nervous Nellie's and Snug Harbor. And there would have been no view anymore from wherever you can see down the road. And everybody rallied around. They got together over there. Everybody rallied around and squashed that, which was the right thing to do. It's going to be a park. It's going to be a nice park. Everybody didn't get what they wanted, but it's going to be better than a 3-story building with washers and dryers and the whole thing. And so I think that there's some bitterness. You don't have to say anything And that's why, part of the reason why you got targeted, because they saw your Facebook ad and they came down with a fine they made up, and there's still some anger about that. And I remember Ray saying, the mayor, who you keep saying is a nice guy, and everybody has an opinion, he never wears a mask when he's out in public. He never wears a mask when he's standing next to Roger.
He's a politician, man. How can he smile without a mask, dude?
I'm just saying that there's a mask mandate on Fort Myers Beach that everyone else has to wear a mask, but I digress.
How about Ricochet? Does he wear a mask?
They didn't yesterday when they were standing together. We have pictures of the two of them standing together without a mask. And they were, for some reason, they were down by Nervous Nellies, but maybe they were just working on the Bayside Park thing. So you made me lose my train of thought, Mike. Gosh, dang it. So anyway, I just throw that out there. I don't know if that's it or not, but everybody needs to know the history of what's going on down in that park. So thank you for coming down.
All right.
Len.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Len Lemmer, everybody. A big round of applause from the artificial audience. Nervous Nellies. They're going to have a big party inside on their property on St. Patrick's Day.
And I'll be there.
Grab that mic now. Mike, grab the mic and you're spilling coffee everywhere.
Well, I'm going to put my coffee
down. All right, here
we
we go. So, Mike, let's dig into this a little bit deeper. Are you pulling the chair out from under your wife? And what are your thoughts on what's going on here on the beach with the businesses being targeted? Give us your opinion.
You know, I go back to I hate to say that Len was targeted. It does seem that way, but I'm hesitant to say that. I want to give the city the benefit of the doubt. You know, some people think that code enforcement are Ricochet as jackbooted thugs. I don't necessarily see it that way. I've had to cross-examine some of these code enforcement officers. It's obvious that they're not comfortable doing some of the things that they're pushed into doing. They're decent folks. I think we have one problem there. And if that goes away, I think everything goes away. He's got every interest in keeping everybody divided, and he controls everything. That's the problem. If you can get to the council and the business people put together a consortium and they get to the council, reasonable minds are going to prevail, and this is all going to work. Everybody's going to get along. Everybody's going to make more money. But you get this guy in the middle who's threatening each side by playing this game with, I have all the information. He's keeping it apart.
How do you think they came up with the 5,000 thing? Because we've said 100 times that it's 500 per business. Could it have been a mistake? Could it have been a miscommunication? Or are they doing some kind of different math we're not aware of? Or is there another ordinance? I mean, do you have any idea?
I have seen some creative math when I've been in front of the magistrate on the city side that I think, it's kind of like golf math.
Like a power of 10 kind of deal?
Yeah, I've seen some math that I was very uncomfortable with that I thought wasn't well-based. But I'll tell you this, the magistrate kind of tosses that. I mean, she's really good.
Yeah, I agree.
I would tell you that,
fair.
My first impression of that was it was a kangaroo court. It was a joke, right? And it's gotten better. I mean, I would go in there and Heron would tell the magistrate, okay, Judge, this is such and such a case we discussed before. Do you remember this? Whoa, hang on. You did what?
Yeah.
You had ex parte communication with the judge about my case? That is unethical. That's wrong. That doesn't happen anymore.
Well, their answer is always, this is kind of laid back. It's informal kind of thing, but the person being fined doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, when you're paying $13,000 in costs out of your pocket, which is what they're trying to do to Terry, that's not so fun. But I will tell you that she's a good magistrate. That doesn't happen anymore. Okay, they don't talk about the cases beforehand. The magistrate stopped that. She's a good magistrate. She gives fair rulings. So I'm happy with that. And I don't think John Heron's a bad guy. I think he's a good lawyer, actually. The problem is he's doing what his boss tells him to do.
Yeah.
Well, and
his boss isn't the council like it should be. It's Roger.
What I would, before I forget, you won't forget your point. What I would like to see is either Dan or Jim in a public meeting say open.
Dan or Jim who?
Dan Allers or Jim Adderholt, the two council members that come on the show frequently. And that, anyway, I would like for them to ask in an open meeting, why did Nervous Nellies, why were they threatened with a $5,000 fine? Just so that everybody watching on Facebook can see Roger explain why Nervous Nellies was threatened with a $5,000 fine. Where did okay, you saw the Facebook ad. Let's say somebody behind the building complained because it's supposed to be complaint driven. So somebody complained, they printed out the Facebook ad, and what we didn't even say with Len was here, the code enforcement officer said to them, we're coming down 2 or 3 times on St. Patrick's Day to make sure. Now that's bullshit right there. Are they going to go to every other place and do that?
No, they're not, is my guess. But listen, like every other reptile, Roger just slithers away. He puts this stuff down and then he just slithers away. You're not talking about the council. You're not talking about the mayor. You're talking about this person who is controlling information and not giving all the information to who he works for so he can control it. And then doing certain things or giving certain information to the business community, keeping them at odds with the council. This is how he keeps his job. This is how he makes money. This is how all his contractor buddies make money. This is how his law firm makes money. I mean, come on. He's raiding this town just like he did all the others he went to.
Okay. You said that. That's
my personal opinion.
Okay.
Now, you were concerned that I might have been committing, slander or defamation or
I'm
something.
not concerned.
Let me tell you what I know, because it's not slander and it's not defamation. All right. There's been lots of rumors that there were some questions about finances and what happened to some money when he left in the Keys. I understand there were some questions about that when he left Miami. I understand there were some questions about that when he left Marco. And I can't confirm that. I'm not putting it out here in the truth. I'm telling you there are those rumors, and we're digging to find out. I got people that are looking in those places to find out. So is that the truth? I don't know yet. But when I find it, I'll come and report it for you.
Thank you.
Either way.
Thank you.
Now,
there's allegations that I don't know the answer to yet either, that business people have been forced to give Roger, $20,000-$30,000 because
that would be incredible. That would be incredible.
The guy was told your reclamation plan is good. You don't have to pay the fine by the judge. His reclamation plan got disapproved by the town. He allegedly went to see Roger and said, what's going on? And Roger said, pay me $30,000 in a cashier's check only, and it'll get taken care of. Otherwise, you're never going to get your reclamation plan approved.
That's an
incredible I can't prove
thing.
that. I'm not putting that out as fact. I'm telling you, this is what a person reported to me that happened to him.
Who wrote the check?
Okay?
And
he did. So this is not just rumor, speculation.
Does he have a copy of the check?
Well, see, it was a money order, and that's what was required. So he's running down the number of that money order now because it won't show going through anybody's bank. Now, it was made out to the town of Fort Myers Beach. So there's some real possibility that it got deposited in the company, in the city's bank, and, everything was right. But we don't know that, and I want to find out.
For people to know, though.
It sounds suspicious.
I know, but, yeah, if you're asked when you're dealing with a government entity and they ask if you should just write a check that you can, not a cashier's check, not a money order.
Well, the fact that he was specifically given instructions that he had to do it that way and no other way, and the contractors would all be taken care of. And in fact, the work was done. But then this happened to somebody else who the first guy called and said, come in and see this lawyer. And he said the same thing happened to him. He's got it all documented. So we're digging into this to see if it's true.
Interesting. Anyway, I want to get back to my point about, I think it would be good for the community to know from Roger's mouth, why $5,000 was the fine that the code enforcement came up to, because there's no good answer for that. And the only way he's going to say anything is if somebody puts him on the spot in a public meeting.
That's not going to happen. He's
that
not
is
going
not. You're
come
right.
here
It's not
and do
going to happen.
this.
No.
And he's not going to answer it even in a public meeting. He's going to do the typical political thing and slither away from it like a snake.
What's going on behind the scenes here that people don't know about? Are you organizing some of the businesses so that they have better legs to stand on?
I am, and let's just say it's not behind the scenes.
I know.
I'm putting it right out flat in the open.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got 3 of the bigger business owners, and we're encouraging some of the smaller, medium-sized, and smaller business owners to come and join the group. It's a consortium, and again, I keep saying this repeatedly. It's very important. This consortium is not to fight with Fort Myers Beach, is not to take out the council, is not to do destruction. It is to cooperate. We need the business community saying we need a direct relationship with the council that's a positive relationship where we work together. And unless and until somebody either gets Ricochet under control or gets him gone, that's never going to happen. Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody can rein him in and he can get with the program, I think that's great. But every complaint I have here, every client who calls me, it's always about Ricochet. It's not something that the council did.
That's right.
It's not something that the mayor did. That's not where the problem lies. The problem lies in this guy has too much control. And either, the charter needs to be revised and the mayor needs to take back some of that control. Maybe we need a full-time mayor to work full-time with the city manager. I don't know. But, one person having all that knowledge, all that power, all that information, and let's face it, absolute power corrupts absolute.
And that's why you need absolute
law.
justice.
We need a little check and balance. We need a little absolute check and balance.
And that's a free ad, damn it.
Right?
So,
thanks for the plug.
So
I did say you were beautiful.
The way it's
He's like, is he flirting with my wife?
The way it's created here and on Sanibel is a strong manager and a weak mayor, and that's the way it was for whatever reason.
It was set that way in the
chart. It was set up that way, and the difference is it works on Sanibel. It's, in my opinion, it's not working here. Judy Zamora has been the I hope I said that right. The town manager, the city manager of Sanibel for 20 years. You never hear the drama or the complaints in Sanibel that it seems like that this guy creates here on Fort Myers Beach. And it's mostly, to me, it's mostly targeting businesses, which makes no sense to me. They don't do anything on this beach to draw people down off season. And the reason is they think since incorporation that this is their beach. Thankfully, Lee County at the time was smart. They kept Lynn Hall Park in different areas, so the road, so they have some control. And it just seems like it's time for a new era. We're going to have Margaritaville. We're going to have all these new things. We're going to have a brand new foot of the bridge. Let's get a new manager where everything can look forward, as opposed to all this craziness about businesses can't succeed because some jackball is standing out in Times Square with a dB meter trying to figure out if the sound is too loud.
Well, and again, it's about even-handedness. That's not what we see here. We don't see even-handed enforcement, right? We see one business come after. I mean, I was in court, and the idea that the allegation from the city that they wanted thousands and thousands of dollars for was that somebody was renting beach chairs or selling alcohol, I forget, on the beach. And the only evidence they had was the code enforcement said he saw it. Well, he took over 100 pictures that morning from right off the property, took over 100 pictures. Not one picture showed a beach chair. Not one picture showed a drink of alcohol. Not one picture showed money changing hands. Nothing. And so I asked this guy on cross-examination, well, sir, you said this happened. Yeah, you saw it. Yeah, right there. Yeah. So you took over 100 pictures. How come there's not one of what you're saying you saw? You're testifying under oath you saw it. Well, it's, hard to get the picture at the exact time. Really? Because you got 100 of them. You stand there. You click the lens. Seriously? You couldn't get a picture of it, but you're here to testify it happened? I mean, come on. This is bogus stuff, right? And again, we go back to the city manager. This is not the mayor. This is not the council that's doing this.
So
right?
let me
wait a minute. Did you tell me this lady out on Sanibel, she's been there 20 years?
20 years.
Wow. And she doesn't have a history of leaving places where people at least rumor, whether it's true or not, that there were money problems. I mean, really?
No,
so do we have
like
the right person in that job?
I don't know the answer to that. Only the 5 members of the council know the answer to that. And the
I'm not saying we should force him to abdicate. We should get rid of him. I'm saying we need to bring him in line. The commission needs to tell him these are our goals. You get on board with it, and you carry our goals. You work for us. Well,
there's a whole nother story for that. I wanted to ask you about this. There's a preacher guy out on the beach. Everybody knows about the preacher. He's loud. I don't know if he uses a bullhorn anymore, but he says things that, a family could be sitting on the beach, and he says things that get obnoxious, and the parents don't want
about sexual sin and all that.
I don't know if it's sexual sin, but people complain about it all the time. So the code enforcement guys come down with their dB meter, and they say to him, "You're too loud," or whatever. Somehow the guy is suing the town. All right. So all of that aside, Roger tells the code enforcement officers, you have to stay away from him now. You can't go anywhere near him because we're being sued. I mean, is that what it comes down to? You have to sue the city so they'll leave you alone?
It's interesting how that happens because they'll push and they'll push. And I'm not saying this town. I'm saying a lot of towns do this. They'll push and they'll push. They'll not realize they're overstepping. They'll get sued. And then the knee-jerk reaction is to go all the way to the other side and not have anything to do with it, right? Either extreme is poor management. Right? We need to be someplace in the middle of the bell curve, and that's part of the problem here. Now, that guy has a First Amendment right to speak his mind in a public place. But what he doesn't have the right to do is disturb other people. Your First Amendment right stops where you start invading somebody else's right. And it could be hate speech. I don't know. I've never heard the guy. If he's talking about you're going to hell if you're not this religion, it could be considered hate speech, so they can stop it there. So, give the guy his free speech in a reasonable manner. Mm-hmm. You're blocking him. He sues you. Now you say, let him do whatever he wants. Wow. Yeah. Just really poor management.
Nope.
Okay. So you want other businesses to get in touch with you that are on the island?
I do. And you can call me at 239 Ask Mike. It's really easy. Our area code is 239 and it's Ask Mike. Or it's 275-6453. 239-274-6453. You can press 6 anytime. You can call me night or day, 24 hours a day. Just press 6. When you hear that, it comes straight to my cell.
Okay, and the other thing I wanted to mention was in his contract, there's supposed to be a review of Roger's performance in a public meeting that has to be held before May.
Well, I didn't know that.
And so I hadn't seen anything on any of the agendas. The agenda for Monday's meeting is out, and it's not on the agenda there. So, I mean, it would be nice to see if they're actually going to follow through with that. You probably know that Tracy Gore, on her last day on the council as the mayor, ramrodded through a raise for Roger. Despite Anita's objection, it was a 3-1 vote.
Yeah, I want to be very clear about that. Anita objected.
She did. And we did correct that. And you guys had a nice conversation to clear the air. She is.
I had never met her. And what a gracious, wonderful woman.
Yes.
Very good person.
And so I believe that raise that she ramrodded through with Joanne Shamp's support makes sure that those two still have his ear.
Well, it does. Because
that's why I think we need a new manager, because the slate needs to be cleaned.
The politics need to be burned to the ground and eradicated. I don't know what their relationship is with Roger, or if he plays politics and protects them. I suspect that might be true, but politics are part of any city. And
right.
I don't know that anybody can, say something bad about that. But, the raise that they pushed through, as I understand it, I haven't seen the documents. People have told me that also includes like anywhere between a $70,000 and an $80,000 severance if they let him go. But they have to let him go for something other than cause. If they let him go for cause, then he doesn't get that money. So, there's going to be some investigations at some point from the FBI or somebody else. If there's indications that there's money that's being tampered with, there's going to be some outside investigation. Now, there may not be that evidence. I don't know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Anything else you want anybody to know about that we might have missed today?
No, the important thing I want to keep emphasizing, Ed, just keep emphasizing is this is not a group to tear down the city council. This is a group to work with them. And you say that Roger's review is coming up. I didn't know that. But what I don't want is a bunch of people showing up there attacking Roger. That's not helpful. That's not productive. I think if we want to show up there, there should be a point person, and everybody's questions should be put together, and then a group should go through and figure out the questions that want to be asked, and one person should go and ask those questions. I don't think a town meeting is a place for people to go start attacking the city manager. That just creates bad feelings.
Well, yeah. Well, there's no real way. There's no town meeting that can be held to get your questions answered. So what are you saying? That there's no public meeting like that?
Well, I understood they did it. I understood they did it online, and everybody could attend. No,
I'm saying you can say something, but they're not going to answer you.
Ah, okay.
So how do you organize something where you feel like you're having a real town meeting?
And unfortunately, the town meetings being done that way result in unnecessary lawsuits. Okay. Right. Because what happens is people can't. Why is this not public information? Why can't we just see it all? What about the Sunshine Law? What about a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request? Well, unfortunately, these kinds of secrecy where they're holding back.
No. You misunderstood me. There's no secrecy. They have the meetings online. My point is,
you can't interact.
They don't interact.
And so the only way to get information then is what? You file a lawsuit and you get it through discovery, where they have to give it to you in 30 days. But this kind of behavior, this kind of management causes unnecessary lawsuits that cost business people money, that cost the town money. This is what I'm trying to avoid with this group.
Okay. All right.
I think those things don't lend themselves to transparency very well when stuff's going on. And then that makes people think, hey,
Correct.
is there smoke? There might be fire. And so you just cards on the table.
And it could be, there could be nothing going on.
It
could be just fine. Right. But the fact that people feel like they can't ask questions and get answers make them feel like, oh, we need to look into this.
What do you think is going to happen on St. Patrick's Day at Nervous Nellies?
My prediction. All right, pay attention. Here's my prediction. He's going to have the party. Code enforcement's going to show up. There are going to be problems. He's going to get fined, and he's going to have to go see the magistrate.
Okay.
Wow.
That's my guess.
And what time are you going to be there?
Oh, I'll be there the whole time.
I'm going to be wanting to watch.
I'll be the drunk guy with the green hat on in the back, just
I will
watching
look
everything.
for
Just
you
watching
there.
everything.
My prediction is that the council members saw the reaction from the community. Nobody's going to go over there and bother them. Nobody. There's no way he's going to be fined.
I disagree.
Nothing.
I disagree.
The only thing that there's a possibility he could be fined
Roger.
for would be the DB meter, because those things are ridiculous anyway. They make no sense. So, hey, what's wrong with your toenails there, man? What the hell's up with that?
Yeah,
They're
I got my
friggin'
feet all tore
disgusting.
up, man.
What the hell's up with that?
Lost a toenail, and we
Jeez.
bought this property, me and my buddy, and we've been working on it. And I hacked up my feet, hacked up my hands.
Do you wear boots or something, or do you just wear those?
I do now.
Okay, wow.
I do now.
All right. So, how do you get in touch with on anything that they might want some?
Anything. 239 Ask Mike. That's 239-275-6453. 239 Ask Mike. And you can meet me. I'm going to be here for another hour. I'll be over at the Sunset Cafe, or you can meet me at the St. Patrick's Day party.
Awesome.
At, Nervous Nellies.
Mike Chinopoulos, everybody.
see you
If you need
there.
help with legal stuff, you give Mike a call. Thanks for coming on, Mike.
Thanks,
You're always
Ed.
welcome
Yes,
here on
thank
Fort
you.
Myers Beach. And get in touch with Mike if you need anything, anybody. We appreciate Mike coming on. And before we tell you all about Kim's wounds, you got to sit down in the lower chair now, wife. We need to tell you about Don't Itch It. Don't Itch It. Last night was the perfect night to break out the don'titchit.com and the islandoilsllc.com, because you let the dogs out and you don't shut the gate.
Let the dogs
You let the dogs out. You don't shut the gate, so the bugs are in. And I'm sitting there. Finally, I decided, because your mom's here, that what are you looking at? That I was going to sit outside and have a drink and just enjoy the lovely weather. And the bugs were everywhere.
I did find the Don't Itch. It was in my car, which our daughter has at this time. So I did pull it. I have it out. Now you can use it. It'll be all good.
Right. So if you need a bug repellent, a bug killer, you want to go to Don't Itch It LLC, islandoilsllc.com and don'titchit.com and pick up. It's like a small bottle. You just spray it on yourself at night.
It's not that small. It's a bottle. It's all oil. It's 100% oil.
It's not like a big can of Raid. It's a small bottle that you spray on yourself, like you would a spritzer bottle.
Yeah.
And it takes great care of the bugs. They die peacefully. There's no harm.
It's not about dying. It's about repelling them.
They just float away and they die a pleasant death.
That's not true.
And then I light them on fire for some reason. I don't know. Maybe that was a childhood thing. But by the way, if you don't want to go online, and we want you to go online right now, because that'll mean, Ed must have read the ad, because we need the bug spray. By the way, they're local. They're here in Florida. They've been on the show. So, it's not like they're putting products in there that shouldn't be in there. You can also buy it from Bait and Weight, Snook Hut Bait and Tackle, for goodness sake, and the Lighthouse Island Resort.
Is your arm long enough for you to read?
Okay, I didn't know that, dear. But all right, so let's get to it now.
What are we
happened?
getting to?
First, we're getting to is what happened to you. Show everybody nice and close what's going on your face. Got a bruise there. Now, before you crazies out there think something happened that didn't happen, you think you broke your
I don't
wrist?
know. Something in my hand.
Now, for those of you that are new to the show, there's a history with exercise and injury here to my left. A couple of bike accidents, one not so bad. She just broke a hip. The second one, she put her face through the back of a minivan that was parked in the bike lane because she didn't have her head up. And I thought she was dead when I saw her. And so, there's some history to leaving the house for some exercise that for some reason you just can't get a grasp of paying attention.
I don't know.
What happened this morning?
I believe that I was listening to the headphones, but I do that all the time. I do that all the time. But I was running in a different area. I didn't realize that the sidewalk was not even, and I was running with my glasses on. And when I run with my glasses, I look underneath them and I can't see. So it was a combination of things. I caught my toe and I went right down.
When you run, do you lift your feet up? So
I know. One would assume.
Like the part
one would assume.
of our neighborhood that you were running on has a flat
Well, it's not
sidewalk.
completely flat. It's not completely flat.
Do you think maybe you kind of
I have shin splints, so I know I'm
You think maybe you kind of hooked one foot behind the other and tripped yourself?
No, I definitely hit something hard, and then I went down hard. And
so you fell on your face and cut your face. And what happened? You're just wallowing on the ground there?
Yeah, well, I
raising your hand for help?
No,
or?
I had to take a few minutes because I thought I was going to pass out at first. And luckily there was a guy walking his dog, and he came over, he took his jacket off, and he was like, asking me if I was okay and did I need any help.
Is there any video of you going down?
No, the first thing I did was pick my head up and look around, and luckily there was no one that actually witnessed it.
The last thing anyone wants is to be
embarrassed.
I
don't know, he must have been close, so maybe he was there.
Okay. You think you're going to be all right, or?
Yeah.
Okay. You think you broke your arm, though?
No, I don't think I broke my arm.
Nice
I might have done something in my hand.
All right. Well, so there's that story. I think the other thing we want to make sure that we tell everybody about that maybe joined us late is if you come to Times Square today, the Lions Club is set up with a nice big tent. They have shirts there, and those shirts are going to go fast.
Yeah.
So they're
especially at $5.
They're $5. So please, dig into your wallet, wipe off the cobwebs, and donate a little bit more than $5. They're trying to make up $60,000 times 2 cancellations of the Shrimp Festival. This would have been Shrimp Festival weekend.
I know it.
And there would have been shrimp everywhere. And there would have been
Before we lose all of our guests, do you want to talk about
I think I might save the car buying thing to next week. It's a long story.
It is long story the way you tell it.
Right. Worse than getting COVID is trying to buy a car. And I went to Sutherland Nissan, and it was the worst experience. So we'll save that. We'll tease that for next weekend. In addition to the Lions Club being here, the Community Foundation auction is up and running.
Yep.
And that is at their website. They have
you can go to their website, and that'll link to the auction website. It's a virtual auction, so open 24 hours a day. You can go on there and see all of the things that are being bid on. Lots of things are getting bids. I mean, they're taking off, I think, with a really good start. It runs till March 20th. So keep an eye on that. Keep the bids coming in, and they're trying to raise 21 and 21. So 21,000 in 2021.
Bid people up there, even if you don't think you're going to get it. Try and bid people up there.
I know, and they do a lot of things. I have to say, real quickly. We went to the Coruscant State Park. I took my mom there the other day.
Anybody get injured?
No, they were having a controlled burn, and I did have my head down and walked dangerously close to the fire, but I smelled it, so I got out of the way. Anyways, when we were walking around, we were talking to a couple of the rangers there, or the volunteers there, and they were saying the same thing like that the Lions was saying, that because of COVID, they haven't been able to do any of the events that they normally do. They haven't been able to sell any of the cookies that they normally sell. And so their funds are down too to do programs that they normally do. So please, you know what? You've wanted to be free. So go out, donate money, visit businesses, visit the parks. Florida State Park system is great. Get yourself a pass like my dad got me, and go out there and get some outdoor. You can be outdoors. You don't need a mask. Go enjoy.
Yeah.
I think the state should hire me for tourism person.
Right. You should be anything that keeps you indoors, sitting behind a desk, so you're strapped down and you don't get injured anymore. So, all right. So your mom's in town for how many more days? And you're going to Key West on Tuesday. And what else you guys have planned?
We're going to
go
to the Calusa Nature Center on Monday, I think, or tomorrow. We're going to Key West, taking the Key West Express down on Tuesday. We're, of course, going to go to Nervous Nellie's on Wednesday, and we're going to Crow on Thursday, and then she flies home Friday.
All right. So you are going to go to Sanibel and do some shelling.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. So don't forget Nervous Nellie's. The Wednesday is their St. Patrick's Day party, and of course, Fort Myers Beach is loaded with great restaurants, and we love them all.
Yeah, they're going to be packed, and so if you can't get in there, there's going to be plenty of other things going on for St. Patrick's Day.
I don't want to say that people are over the COVID, but they're over the COVID. I mean, if you look outside, people are. I don't know. They're living their life now.
I got to say, the line for testing was ridiculous this morning, and I hadn't seen that in a couple of weeks.
I wonder why the line for testing was long. I wonder why. With the vaccine numbers going up and the cases going down, I wonder
we're coming into spring break. I don't know if people want to, make sure they're clear before they go, because most people are very responsible and are doing the right thing. So they're smart people.
People should do what's right for them. If you think wearing a mask is the right thing to do, you should do it.
Yep.
If you think you should stay home because you don't want to get sick, you should stay home. And government shouldn't tell you that. And
all right, folks. Well,
government shouldn't tell old people that they should be stuck in old folks' homes so they can die, or the governors shouldn't be perverts either. So we'll see what happens there. But we want to say thank you to everybody for being so awesome to us. Our newsletter comes out on Tuesday and Friday. The town council meets again on Monday, so we'll be covering that. And the Sanibel Town Council, City Council, meets on Tuesday. And good luck to Holly. We hope Holly's going to be the next mayor of Sanibel after Mick retired he was like there for 70 years or something. He's been a public servant for so long. And so we'll be covering that and everything that goes on next week. Make sure you watch our Facebook page. Download our app from the Apple App Store or Google Play. And we hope to see you here on the beach. Everybody, have a great weekend.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us.
Stay safe and enjoy.
Ta-ta.
Oh, and happy birthday to your nephew, Anthony. Happy birthday!